It's the Daily Kebab.
Good evening, Muttonistas, and welcome to the Daily Kebab. Indeed, to the final Daily Kebab. Seems quite a long time ago that I was in Oviedo in northern Spain, bringing you cider, cheese, and all sorts of other goodies from that part of the world. Then through to Madrid, to Manchester, to Istanbul, to Trabzon, to that spectacular monastery, and then to eastern Turkey. And I'm going to bring you my reaction to the World Cup final between Argentina and France. But before the game, we're going to do the food first, because the timing of the game and diabolically slow internet connection around here, it's the only way I can do it. Okay, my research has pointed to the Daily restaurant. Looks, well, at least the window side of the restaurant looks pretty busy. I know restaurants shove people in the window to make it appear popular, but I believe they're open. Let's see if we can get a table and if the food's any good. But I think they're open, and let's hope A, I can get a table, and B, that their food is good. And of course, everywhere in Turkey, and especially eastern Turkey, involves walking up a ton of steps to get to where you want to go. Muttonistas, I found one hell of a busy place here, but they did find me a table, and thankfully quite a wide, big table for four, which is exactly what I need. They have a fixed menu and live music, but it looks pretty good in fairness. You sit at the table and there's a huge plate of meze and a salad in front of you before you even start. I mean, even the water jug is pretty ornate here, and all those main courses look so traditional. I'm spoiled for choice. I would like to try the lamb ribs, but I've already had those, so I might go for something a little bit different today. I'm going to ask them what's traditional, but I guess all of it is. I mean, we can choose here between lamb stew with dried prune, lamb stew with fresh prune, dish of mutton coarsely ground with wheat. We can have lamb roasted on the tandoor, stuffed lamb ribs, which I've already had, leg of lamb with almond, that sounds good, and Daily Kebabs. Anyway, let's get the bases loaded with these starters. So, we have down here the usual sig kofta, we have some sort of potato salad, we've got olives, we have got some sort, I think that's cottage cheese, I'll have to taste it, hummus, and a yogurt preparation. Okay. Yogurt with nuts, that's a surprise, very tasty. Cottage cheese, I think, but let's see if I'm right. Yeah. A mild version, I think, of the Lebanese dish called shanklish. Very much mild. In fact, I've changed my mind. It's not cottage cheese. I think it's crumbled feta. Now, I'm guessing that this is muamara, which is an Arabian-style nuts and red pepper preparation. I think I'm right. Obviously, they'll make these things slightly differently here. Kind of a Mediterranean potato salad, the next dish. Got some peppers, some broccoli in. Very, very nice appetizer. Light. Now, olive time. Be careful with those olives. They're quite small and quite strange, and they've got a very bitter finish, but they're not pitted, and I'm glad I worked that out quickly, because if your teeth have an argument with an olive stone, your teeth usually lose. Next, the sig kofta, which occasionally is raw meat in a few special places, but I'm pretty sure this will be the vegetarian or vegan even version, with bulgur, tomatoes or peppers. Yeah, nicely prepared nonetheless, with quite a spicy kick, I have to say. Mutton definitely approves of that. Finally, the old hummus. Yep, pretty solid, but about what you'd expect. Anyway, I'm going to get stuck in, and I'll be back with you when the next course, which I believe is soup, arrives. Next up, folks, the soup, and I think I'm the only non-Turkish person in here, which is a great sign, because I'm pretty sure a whole crowd of Turks would not be accepting of bad food. Okay, we have yogurt soup with coriander. Let's give that a whirl. This is actually a first for me. I've never had it before. There weren't actually soup options on the menu, but I suspect they're seasonal. One of the options was cold yogurt soup. But you know me, Muttonistas, I'd have that any time of the year. And I'll guess that there's either bread or chickpeas in this soup, but I'll have a taste and I'll let you know. Chickpeas. Delicious. Never thought of having yogurt soup before. Peppery, slightly spicy, enriched with the coriander. I think I'll just let them choose everything and I'll go with the flow. It's so nice, this food. And go with the flow, they certainly are over there. And I'll tell you what, if they're foreign tourists, then I'm turning Japanese. If they're getting into the party spirit, well, so am I. Time for a quick swerve. Okay, on to the next course. And though I wanted these stuffed vegetables, I think I'm just going to take what's coming because they've given me some bonus dishes. First of all, they've given me what looks like a mini la machine. And if we scan over, what's described as a fried meatball, but I suspect it might be an isli kofta, but we'll see. It might, of course, be completely different. And as suspected, it looks very much like a slightly different shaped isli kofta. That's the bulgur and meat meatballs, or minced balls, that are usually fried up. Lebanese cuisine uses these extensively, and they're called kibbeh. And of course, a break in the music means a huge throng heading outside to smoke. I'm glad that this is a non-smoking restaurant, obviously, because a lot of places in Turkey are not obliged to do so and aren't non-smoking. Okay, the main's arrived and it's the only one I actually chose by myself. The rest of the stuff just came, and mighty fine it's been too. But I have gone for the lamb stew with dried prune, something I've never had before, and in a lot of cuisines I'd actually shun that for fear of it being too sweet. But my experience so far with Turkish food is that that has not been the case. Okay, well, let's give it a go. It's come with rice. And one thing that's actually stood out in this part of Turkey, even though they have a Mardin kebab, which I haven't tried yet, is that rice dishes seem to be the go-to here rather than bread or kebab dishes. Okay, let's give it a whirl. That's really tender. There's not an ounce of sugar in this. It's got much more of a Mediterranean olive oil flavour. And while when you munch on a dried prune, yes, it's got a bit of sweetness, it's not got much sweetness, it just complements the Mediterranean sourness and bitterness of the olives beautifully. Really nice rice as well, I must admit. When I brought you that kebab from Manchester, where many were having rice and I was having naan, little did I realise that it's probably a Kurdish thing, and this area does have quite a large Kurdish population, and it is actually just as good as having bread. I'm tasting those chickpeas, the garlic and the melt-in-the-mouth lamb. All deserves a quick slurp before I get on with it and come back to you for the next course, which will be a dessert. Now, one dessert that I've neglected to have on this trip is the rice pudding called sudlak. I'll have to try it before I leave Turkey. However, they did recommend a local speciality called harire. Never heard of it before, looked it up very quickly, and it's made out of flour, cinnamon, molasses, which is sugar basically, and it's supposed to have a mousse or custard type consistency. Not sure it can be both at the same time, but that's what the website I translated said. Very little in English about this dish, of course. So more the consistency of a mousse. It's pleasant, but I'm struggling to identify the taste, other than it being lightly sugared. The nuts on the top are nice, the consistency is nice, but I can't work out what it actually is. So it seems that's what great molasses, sugar and water boiled down to a mousse tastes like. I can't say it's bad, nor is it outstanding, but it's nice enough. And of course, Muttonistas, it's a local speciality, thus we have to try it. Well, a jolly splendid meal that was. Let's move on now to the football and reaction to the World Cup final. The game's about to start, and I couldn't find a pub as such, which isn't surprising, although there's a bit more alcohol in this town than you'd think, so it's a coffee shop for me. Oh, and did anybody believe that French claptrap about England players passing on viruses to them, everybody training in isolation, or at least 3 or 4 players? Funnily enough, everybody who you'd expect to be in the French team is fit and playing for them. And while the French keeper's down after 10 minutes, the addition of Di Maria to the Argentine starting lineup, very interesting, does actually give them more width. I was talking about them over-relying on their fullbacks, well they do when he's not playing, but now they have an extra option. However, will that leave them a bit exposed after a turnover, because he's not great at tracking back, to be honest. Full time and 2-2. Good heavens, what have we just seen there? I have to say, I was thinking about what to say, and I was going to say that Mbappe has been a complete liability. But there he goes, pops up, scores a penalty, only just, I have to say. It was the power that got that one through, and was involved in a fantastic counter-attack, a very well struck and positioned volley. Before that, for the first 70 minutes, France looked absolutely hopeless. A bit better in the second half, but in the first half, second to every ball. They could have been more down. Argentina harried, pressed, and they moved and passed the ball so quickly. Very impressive. For the Argentinian penalty, well, where was Koundé? I've no idea. What was Dembele doing in the right-back position? And it was interesting that they used Di Maria, because you would have thought that would be France's stronger flank. Most teams, like England, chose to have a go at Hernandez on the other side, but Argentina went down France's right, their left, and they caused no end of problems. But good old Nicolas Otamendi, yes, I remember him from his days at City, all over the place there, giving away a penalty. Argentina keep doing that. 2 goals up, they've let it slip once, nearly let it slip against Australia, of all people. I don't know what's going to happen. I think they're going to be punished here, but who knows? Bring it on, but don't make me late for my dinner, please. And I've been speaking to you there in the break after full time before extra time, which has just started, so I don't know what's going to happen. But if Argentina don't win, everybody's going to remember that it was Messi dispossessed near the halfway line by Kingsley Coman. Well, what a mad period of extra time. That was so exciting. I'd be on my 8th pint by now if I were back in the UK. France actually, towards the end of normal time, looked like the more likely team to score. But halfway through the first period of extra time, Argentina got their mojo back. France slipped back into their sluggish ways. People were being played onside, and it was very much with the play when Argentina went 3-2 up through Messi. A great save, but eventually the ball looked as if it might have been cleared off the line, but it wasn't. It was behind the line. The technology clearly sorts that out. And at the time I was thinking, wow, were all these substitutions from the Argentinian manager great? Other than Alvarez going on for Lautaro Martinez, I couldn't tell the effect of the other substitutions further behind because the TV doesn't show you all the positions they take up. But what I can say is that when France got that equaliser, the blame lies squarely with Montiel, the defender, who twisted his body and handled the ball instead of taking it full on. How many times do you see that? It either gets deflected or it's a handball. Wimp has to take it full on. Now, if you watched my predictions yesterday, I did actually predict 1-1 in Argentina to win on penalties. Have I sort of got this right? Well, I guess not really. 3-3. We'll see what happens, but remember that chance that Muani had at the end and Martinez saved it. It looked as if he had the World Cup in his hands, and if Argentina win this shootout, and I think they actually have the better penalty saver, then he will regret that for the rest of his life. I mean, it was a mad finish to extra time all in all, and Martinez, well, I think he had 2 chances. That header he sailed well wide. He's been firing blanks all tournament, no surprise he lost his starting place, and he could again have won it for Argentina at the end. Oh well, let's see who wins the shootout. It is a totally random way of deciding a tournament, but because it's all made to fit TV schedules, that's the way it is. Here we go. And so it proved. Muani's miss was fateful in the end. Argentina showing how good they are at these shootouts. Emi Martinez, can't think of anybody you want other than maybe the Croatian keeper in between the sticks for these shootouts. And his save was vital in the last minute. Wow. And of course, after Mbappe slotted his first kick away, he made the save from Coman that gave Argentina the lead. A couple of Argentina's penalties weren't great, but they got through. A few thoughts to round off with before I get my much-awaited dinner. First of all, is this the best there is in world football? It's certainly the most watched and the most prestigious, but it's not the best football or the best teams because the talent is thinly spread, whereas in the top club games, it's all very concentrated. Having said that, you can argue that clubs with money can buy anybody. Who you have in your team, your national team, basically is dependent on your pool of players and the culture of football in your country. So Argentina have tons and tons of professionals and a reasonable sized population. Some countries don't. And the margins are wafer thin. That save, I keep coming back to it at the end, but look at the other round. Spain against Morocco, hitting the post in the last minute. Romelu Lukaku, did he pervert the course of the tournament with those misses? Would have been maybe Belgium against Brazil, or and then Brazil against Argentina. They might have been Argentina. A lot of ifs and buts. You get them in every tournament. Also, Germany-Japan was that ball out of play. There's another one. You need luck to win these competitions, and at the end of the day, it's about grasping your luck, and Argentina have done, and I congratulate them. It'll all be about Messi, 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 but for me, the star there was the goalkeeper, Martinez. Without him, they would have lost that game. Well, after a long month, uploading nearly every day, that's the last in my Daily Kebab series. But don't worry, plenty of football to come. The meat and drink, the main event, the domestic season, the Champions League. And I will be back with you for Thursday's game between Manchester City and Liverpool, back in Manchester at the Etihad Stadium. Vlog will come out on Friday, but until then, that was your Daily Kebab.